Hello everyone, thank you for joining this live video. My name is Lotte and I'm a beauty entrepreneur and founder of MÁDARA Organic Skincare. And today we are here together with a researcher, biologist, Anna Ramata-Stunda. And we are here at the University of Latvia, Faculty of Biology. And Anna is a researcher at a Department of Microbiology and Biotechnology. She is also founder of Alternative Plants, a stem cell research and development company, and also key researcher at MÁDARA Organic Skincare. So did I name all your titles correctly?
Definitely. It's my pleasure to join.
And today we have had discussion about different cosmetic ingredients on our blog earlier this week, and we have had many questions that you have sent in, and that's why we decided that we could sit together and discuss some of the ingredients and some of the questions that mostly concern consumers, cosmetic buyers, because there are quite many ingredients that have controversial data. Some say they're safe, some say they are super toxic. So we are here to find out the truth. And maybe just to kick off with some facts. Now in the cosmetic industry, there are a huge amount of ingredients. There are over 30,000 different raw materials that go in a beauty product that we use every day. And most of them, approximately 60%, are of chemical origin, so man-made chemicals, and the other, less than half, are natural, like plant-derived and things like that. And which is fine, but then there is a very alarming thing that from all that big list of cosmetic ingredients, every year we have ingredients that are taken out and put in the prohibited ingredient list in the EU. And just last year alone we have 244 new raw materials that are added to the list of prohibited materials or beauty poisons, and altogether there are quite many of them. So Anna, from a researcher perspective, how to know what is safe? Because if something is allowed today, it's taken out tomorrow, and how to know that the product that we're using is not harming us?
So yes, the one thing, and a good thing, is that especially in the European Union, there's authorities that are dealing with consumer safety and consumer products, they're updating all the safety data and they're retesting them. Mainly, and it's also very good that in the European Union we do all the testing in vitro. That means in biochemical tests and cell cultures and skin tissue cultures. We're not using animal studies anymore. It's prohibited to do that. The other thing for the consumers, how to trust, is to follow up like trustable sources, like that could be scientific publications, that could be the web pages and the information distributed by consumer safety authorities, and not just to trust some blogs, but search for the references, and especially in the scientific literature also you have to look what kind of journal, if it has a high impact factor, if it's trustable, and those who are reporting the safety data, they are really from trustable institutions like institutes, universities, and authorities.
And if we go back to the amount of chemicals, and especially the man-made chemicals, in the last, I would say, 5 decades, 6 decades, there were huge amounts of chemicals introduced into consumption in cosmetics and other like consumer products. And what were the testing methods when they were introduced? Were they, a high standard, a good standard that you would, how would you evaluate them today and then 50 years ago? Is there a difference?
Of course, the testing methods are also evolving, and they're still evolving, and that's why authorities are also requesting for several ingredients to be retested. For example, last year in the European Union, safety reassessment has been done for more than 50 chemicals that are used in cosmetics. That is, one thing is what kind of test system researchers and manufacturers are using, and if it's relevant to human, especially, for example, the same is about the parabens, that there are a lot of data in rodents and mice and rats that have been tested before, and there are some negative effects or some positive effects, that there are no harm. But recently there are a lot of discussions about that. That has not been a relevant test system. And still, there already now, when the animal tests are prohibited, several in vitro test systems like tissue cultures, biochemical tests, that are being improved to be more relevant, to mimic more like a human, the human tissues, the human skin, just to give the overall look at the safety.
So it means that how we test is really important, so that the data would be relevant to humans, to human safety, and also like the list of the prohibited substances, increases every year because of the testing methods evolve and find more evidence. Or
one is the testing methods that find more evidence. The other thing is that it's good that consumers are reporting some adverse effects, or clinicians are reporting some like association with cancer development or allergy incidents, etc. That's the more data we gather, both from test systems, from laboratory tests, as well as from the population, like from the consumers that have actually been using the products containing some ingredients for decades.
Right. So like parabens, it's an ingredient that you just mentioned. So paraben is a group of very common cosmetic preservatives. So basically, it would kill any contamination in a product. So that's why and it's relatively non-irritant. So from a formulator's perspective, it's very nice to add them and to make sure that the formula is stable. Natural cosmetics would not allow any parabens in their formulations, but conventional cosmetics, it's like the usual preservative that you would choose. And recently, like maybe like a decade ago, like no paraben claims have been more and more popular. All the time you would find products with no parabens and things. So what's the thing about parabens? Because that discussion is, ongoing all the time, and so the parabens, as I know, are listed on as potential endocrine disruptors. So it's a chemical that responds to hormone receptors. So basically, might damage the body hormone system. Now I have my little daughter over there. If you're hearing any strange sounds, so that comes from the cartoon. So for me as a mother, it's like if I have a baby product with parabens, with a little, pregnant woman or little babies whose hormonal system is super vulnerable. Sorry, how to read. Thank you. Yeah. And so how concerned should I be? Because Denmark, delisted some of the parabens first, then European Union went to delist some, but still mostly used, like 5 parabens are still there.
Well, you mentioned the name some. It depends. Parabens are a group of chemicals, and they're esters, and the negative effects, especially the estrogenic effect, it depends on the length of the molecule.
Right.
And also the irritation potential. It has been observed also for some of the allergens for this allergenicity. The effects, it depends what kind of paraben is being used, and it's and once more I want to emphasize that some of the parabens are already included in those that need to be reassessed for their safety, because there is a growing number of publications, and there are very contradictory results. Some of them are reporting that in animal tests or in vitro test systems there are no adverse effects, while others are linking those to development of some endocrine cancers, even to abnormal division of the cells, to allergic reactions, etc. There are data being gathered about that, and I think, and also, as already mentioned, there is an issue that scientists have recognize that some of the test models we have been using before, they're not relevant to assess and model how do they affect actually the human organism.
So you as scientists are working on better testing mechanisms
and
to
retesting different types of parabens, because not the existing safety data cannot be attributed to each and every paraben, as this effect depends what kind of paraben plays and at what concentrations are being used. But at the same time, and I fully understand why several cosmetic manufacturers avoid using them, why there has been such a decision by Danish authorities, that people don't want to use something that it's on one side it is safe, but you don't have a full set of data.
That's true. So that is like something that at natural cosmetics regulating bodies, we call that the principle of precaution. So if you don't know, you better stay away, because if those 50 chemicals get retested and gets delisted, then so we might not.
There's the thing is that parabens, those that have been tested, they cannot be listed as a classical endocrine disruptors, because the estrogenic activity of them are even 1,000-fold or even more less than for the estrogen.
Right.
But those are very widely used chemicals in personal care. There are some cases when there are other exposures to the humans as well. So there is rather high exposure to those compounds, and there is a prolonged use of them. So that still needs to be reassess this cumulative data, how the cumulative dose is acting in the organism.
That's true, because we're using 20 cosmetic products each day if you count everything from your shampoo to concealer. And and then you will use that for the whole, for decades. And it's crazy when I just read some research facts that parabens immediately enter the bloodstream, and they can be sampled in blood and urine, so the chemicals circulate in the system.
Treated, they're not treated in organism.
And if we just touch the endocrine chemicals that disrupt endocrine. So we have also some question about what about synthetic UV filters, because that is a group of chemicals that is also super widespread. So it's a chemical that would provide sun protection, and so it's like one of the basic sunscreen ingredients. And there are some environmental concerns, like in the States, some of the synthetic UV filters have been banned because of the environmental reasons. But what about health? Because again, some reports say that they are.
That's I think the main reason why some of the in the developmental stages of the UV filters, synthetic UV filters, they have actually been banned, and they never came to the market because they showed the estrogenic potential in the test systems.
So they have been filtered, luckily.
Yeah, because there are actually quite a few approved synthetic UV filters compared to other synthetic ingredients. It's actually the same situation as with the parabens. We need to gather more data.
Right.
And I think here is the main issue is the environmental issue, but it's also linked with the estrogenic activity, because if there are a lot of those compounds polluted in the nature and the water, etc., some other persons that might be susceptible for some reasons, they are actually exposed.
Right.
Without actually using them in the personal care products.
Right. So chemical sunscreens are
and compared to parabens, they're actually usually used in high concentrations. And the other thing is, that some of them are not stable. They need to be combinations of UV filters, and that's why the traditional and conventional SPF products with a small shelf life.
Yeah.
Then there is also a question for some not so well characterized synthetic filters. What happens when they degrade?
Yeah.
Actually, if those degradation products might also have some negative effects both on environment and on health.
So basically, a conventional sunscreen product is a mix of different chemical cocktails. Often is a mix, because we have to put some of these chemicals together so they would cover a certain wavelength, so they would filtrate a specific wavelength, because one chemical would not be able to do everything. So, and chemicals.
It's been tested as well,
yeah.
because once a company decides to mix them together, they definitely need to perform safety tests and how is there some synergies or antagonistic activities and potential some negative effects also.
Right.
It's definitely something that every respectable manufacturer is doing and should be doing.
And so we're not talking, I think, about alternatives, but there are alternatives to all of these doubtful chemicals that we're talking. So we have some more questions, and maybe we could touch just slightly talc, because talc has been, it has been a quite a big topic last year. There was this scandal that talc was found, asbestos contamination was found through talc. So talc and asbestos are minerals that are found quite close in nature. And there was a children's brand, youngsters brand that had asbestos contamination. And altogether in the States there are approximately 20,000 lawsuits where consumers sue cosmetic companies accusing them of using cancer-causing chemicals for decades and hiding data, disguising data.
Yeah, that's definitely a breach of the industry standards, because I think everyone knows that asbestos has negative health effects and should be avoided, and for decades, for several years, manufacturers have claimed that they're using asbestos-free talc. And about the talc, there are also some other contradictory research studies being published. Some of them say that it's completely safe, and in the European Union it's also considered as listed as safe. But also there are some studies that show some negative effects.
Right.
Some effects, and in some studies that are analyzing people who have been using, they're linking with some chronic diseases in this concept of development, but there are also a lot of questions how those data have been analyzed, and there are additional information needed for that.
So here we have talc, which is I think quite known. The powders, baby powder, is basically talc is just a perfume baby powder, and so this is what you don't want to inhale that, and you
That's the same as inhalation, that actually, differently from some other ingredients regarding talc, that when people are using it, it's like a powder, you're exposed by inhalation exposure as well, and everything you inhale, it irritates your airways, and that can be one additional health effect.
Right.
You should avoid even wear a mask.
Yes, so when you handle your baby, wear a mask. Right, okay, so let's see what other questions we have. Again, if we go to powder, so there are some more loose ingredients. So glitter is something that maybe is maybe not that linked to health, but glitter is actually quite a big problem, because if that is a glitter of synthetic origin, which is usually big, bold, bright, shiny. What we have here is gold particles. So basically this is a plastic covered with aluminium foil and synthetic dye to give it, that specific color and luster. And okay, we put it on, so we actually wash off, it goes down the drain, and then it becomes like a microplastic contamination in the wastewater, or if that ends up in the ocean. What about the biology there? How would that, our Christmas party microplastic leftover impacts the ecosystem in the ocean? I know you're not like environmental specialist, but would you have a comment there?
Of course it disrupts and it interferes with the organisms living in the ocean, and not only in the ocean, in the rivers and wherever there is a risk that this sludge water goes into. So this is something that can lead even to deaths of specific organisms, that can disrupt ecosystems, and definitely negative effects. I think everybody has heard about the negative effects of ecosystems, and effects not only animals, it affects also other organisms living in water. water that are very crucial actually for the stability of the ecosystem.
Right.
Every organism, if it's in there, it's crucial for that. So slight changes can have a very big effect in the future.
Yeah, and microplastic is actually discovered everywhere, from Arctic to the sushi.
And that's something that we eat later.
Yes,
actually,
that's true.
It goes around.
Yeah, it goes around. So it's a circular system, and we have to know that if we put something down the drain, it has some end of life cycle performance, and we have to consider that. Okay, so we have some more questions. What about colors? Like, because if we think about makeup products and also skincare, but in makeup you would have a lot of different colors, and we touch a bit of colors and glitters. Hey,
Okay.
so we have. I said, yeah, you have the license, please, yeah. So is it how toxic is red lipstick? Because again, a dye, if we compare to UV filters, there's many potential synthetic UV filters, and only some are allowed, and still some of those allowed ones are under discussion and debate. And with colorants, it's the same story. So a huge amount of colorants that exists, which are developed chemically, but again, only just we have quite few colorants allowed in the EU. Most of them are synthetic. And what about our?
So the general answer would be they are allowed. So they have definitely been tested, and they are allowed in the use concentrations that they are currently being used. But there is also issues about the stability of the color, because it's a great issue. But that's the main reason why synthetic colors are being developed. They're more stable than the natural ones. But still, what happens, and the big part of tests are the stability, and especially in the ultraviolet light, because most probably you often wear makeup when you go out somewhere, and when you're in the light, what happens with the molecule, and does this pose some risks? So, and this is also concerning the development and complexity of test systems that we can use. And the other thing is that when they remain just on the skin, and we can wash them off and have some negative effect, but maybe some time on the environment, or they enter our bloodstream as well. It depends. It depends from chemical, but the general answer would be if they are being right now used, then they're safe, but still some of them are being retested. So it's
so again, safe for now, but we retest.
We again go back to that issues that the chemicals. We're getting more data about the use experience, about the links to some specific allergies or irritation, and also to more scrupulous test systems.
One of the recent research, which I have a quote here, says that there's a group called azo dyes in cosmetic, which is a chemical dyes, and so they have been found to be genotoxic and have also cancerogenic effect. So there is some concern for re-evaluating chemicals.
That's also, they were talking again about the group of chemicals, and it really depends what functional group is the molecular structure. So, and it really depends from molecule to molecule what affects chemicals. For example, on a very standardized mutagenicity test, the Ames test, that is a golden standard, they show no negative effect. But when we tested, for example, in cell cultures, there are data about changes in chromosomes. That's also comparing and cumulatively analyzing altogether from different test systems, from different studies, those data, to be maximally on the safe side.
Right.
But we cannot say one claim for all the group of chemical compounds. Group of compounds against this usually hundreds of different compounds, and a slight changes in the molecule might drastically change how safe it is and how effective it is.
Right. What about the some of the chemicals that are used in as a mixtures, and that are, I'm pretty sure, never tested for safety, and perhaps fragrances could be one of those, like, examples of chemicals where, again, fragrance industry would have a lot of aromatic molecules, and when it comes down to natural cosmetics, it would shrink, by a very like a super shrink, maybe 10-15% of all the aromatic compounds. And then again, the synthetic fragrances. So they have raised concerns how the molecules interact between each other in a fragrance composition. And when they evaporate in the air, so they interact with chemicals in the air, and they contribute to the indoor air contamination. That might have, again, adverse effects on the health when they inhale. So how to know what would be the perfect safety system for the fragrances and for the fragrances that are used to perfume beauty products, like skincare, creams, makeup.
Luckily now a big issue is also indoor air quality, and a lot of really deep science research is being done in this field. So we know much more what affects air quality. It's not just about the microbiology or ozone, etc. So a lot of factors being tested. So it gives us a lot of data, it's a big data that allows us to in silico or in numbers even modulate what could happen, like calculate models different what could happen. But the classical way would be to actually make those mixtures and really test them. And there are even systems where we can test on airway epithelial laboratory, where we have gases flowing on the apical area of this airway tissues, and we can test effects at this tissue level, cellular level. But another thing that I would like to emphasize regarding fragrances and aromatic substances is there's raising amount of studies that indicate on the allergic action of that and sensitization.
Right.
And this is something also that there are various tests, and we're still lacking a very a standardized one, golden standard. There is usually a mix of tests that analyzes those effects in laboratory conditions. And so we need to gather actually more data from the consumers that have had those health issues.
So some applications of reporting would actually be helpful.
Reporting helps a lot. Reporting helps a lot.
Right. Good. Okay. So I think we discussed a broad list of issues, and we realized how complex a development of beauty product is. And it takes it goes back decades when some chemicals have been launched. They are now under consideration for retesting, so we can never be sure what if all the ingredients that are on the allowed cosmetic inventory list would be safe and sound tomorrow. So that's the bottom line. And so for me as a consumer, so how to avoid the most dangerous chemicals? Would some certifications help, or would reading the ingredient list help?
Certification definitely helps, because certifications have some restrictions what kind of ingredients you can use and at what levels, like the safety and efficacy testing needs to be done. That's one thing. Ingredient list might be confusing, because some natural ingredients you will see as long names of chemicals as well. But as I mentioned in the very beginning, it's crucial to look for trustable sources, like scientific publications or publications issued by state authorities that are actually monitoring this consumer safety. And especially in the European Union, there are publicly available reports and lists of ingredients that are allowed. You can get information about those that are considered to be reassessed, so you might for yourself put that on a red list to try to avoid them as well.
So we have to
look for trustable sources.
We have to look for sources. One of the sources you can go and then you would find references is MÁDARA blog, which was published earlier this week. And then again, so we have to make smart choices. We have to educate ourselves and dig deeper and not just trust the beauty label. Always turn it around and try to understand what's in. So that's the take-home message. So thank you very much for joining. Thank you, Anna. So that was super exciting, and see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.